Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. So today's video is a little bit different. So I'm not necessarily doing a fake tan routine, I'm actually doing a battle of the tans. I thought I would compare two of my favourite fake tans. So we've got Bondi Sands Ultra Dark. This is Bondi Sands Self Tanning Foam, and then we're comparing it to the Loving Tan Deluxe Bronzing Mousse, also in Ultra Dark, and see which one I prefer. But I saw Jaclyn Hill, she said her favourite fake tans were also these, and she liked Loving Tan a little bit more. So it gave me the idea of why don't I just do a video where I apply one to one side, one to the other. And as you can see, I am very tanned. Hands went a little bit too orange for me, but that was my fault. But you can't really tell that I'm wearing two different fake tans, but I do go into detail on which one I prefer and kind of what the formula is like, which one washed off better, the undertones, that kind of thing. So hopefully it helps if you're in the market for a good fake tan, or you're umming and ahhing on which one to get. Hopefully this video helps you. So this was my result. So put your guesses in now, which side do you think is which? So, I mean, it's really hard to tell on camera. I could definitely tell in person, only very subtly. So if you are interested in seeing the battle of these two fake tans, then just keep on watching. The first tan that I'm going to show you is Bondi Sands. So I'm going to do Bondi Sands on my right side. So I'm going to apply this first. I do have two different mitts to use, just so I'm not like mixing the tan on the mitt, if that makes sense. The mitt that I'm using is from Loving Tan. I think I do have a Bondi Sands mitt somewhere, but I do prefer the Loving Tan mitt anyway. But it's not about the mitt. We are testing the tans, the battle of the tans, so let's get started. So this morning I have already showered and exfoliated, so I just use like my normal body wash, whatever I have. I use, it's soaking, the Loving Tan exfoliating mitt. And then I also, for the first time actually, because I've been trying to find like a body exfoliator for a while, and I actually got this in a PR package that Morphe sent me. So they sent a load of their indie brands that they stock on their website. They included this, which is called Frank. Yeah, it's Frank Body, and it's their exfoliating, I don't actually know what it, oh, it's the coffee scrub. So I'm pretty sure this is quite well known, but I've always wanted to try it, and I tried it for the first time today, and my skin feels really smooth. You literally just put it all over wet skin, like kind of massage it around, and then rinse it off, and that's basically it. I do have a full fake tan routine on my channel using Loving Tan, so if you're interested and you want more of an in-depth tanning routine, then I'll link that down below, just in case you're interested. Right, so I already, from using this before, I'm pretty sure the undertone is slightly different. Like this one has that like greeny olive undertone. So what side am I doing it on? Right, so I've done like I'll do the same pumps on both sides. So this is the Bondi Sands side. Okay, so I'm going to do two more pumps as well. So I'm going to do like how I would normally do my fake tan. So I'll always do a second layer. Okay, so that is one arm done. Although Bondi Sands does have that kind of like greeny olive undertone, it does make the tan look kind of natural in a way. But the only thing is, I think if you do leave it on quite long, it does get a greeny tinge. So that is a bonus. It just looks quite like golden. So I will say the Bondi Sands one is easy to apply, don't get me wrong, but I do think if you do like to layer it, then sometimes it can go a little bit like, you know, when it kind of like drags on the skin. I don't know if you can see that, it does that. But the only thing is you do wash this off and those areas do wash off fine. So I don't really worry too much about that with a tan, because they're made to kind of like develop and then you wash the colour guard off. Okay, right, so we're moving on to Loving Tan now. So I'm going to do that on this side, obviously. So I've got a different mitt. So I'll show you them compared side by side in a second. But if you can see, Loving Tan definitely has a deeper, like, chocolate undertone, if that makes sense. Same 2 pumps on this side. Yeah, so you can already see when it goes on, it's definitely deeper. And I find already by applying it, I can feel that it almost feels just like smoother to, I don't know if you'll be able to see in the way I'm applying it, but it just feels a lot smoother and easier to blend onto the skin. Whereas Bondi Sands is a little bit more like, what's the word? Not harder to blend. Yeah, maybe this is a little bit more liquidy. Whilst it's still a mousse, it does feel like more liquidy and more easier to spread. Like, I can apply it a lot quicker. As always, I'm going to do another layer, so do normally wait a little bit before I do my second layer. Yeah, so when applying the second layer, it almost feels, you know how sometimes when you layer fake tan, it can drag and it ends up going a little bit patchy. Like I was saying, it doesn't matter too much, but it is harder to blend on top. But when you layer Loving Tan, it doesn't kind of grab as much, as in it doesn't go like too patchy or anything. But to be honest, they're both like easy to blend. I think it's, if you were like really like nitpicking anything, I would say Loving Tan is easier to apply because it just feels a lot smoother. Okay, so that is obviously both of them freshly applied. Obviously it's quite hard to tell when you just apply it because they do develop over time. I'm pretty sure both of them you leave on for like 6 hours or you sleep in it and then you wash it off. So that will be the real test. But as for application, I would definitely say the Loving Tan is just that tiny bit easier to apply. But I mean, it's not really like that much in it. It just feels a tiny bit smoother and like almost quicker to apply. As for like colour from the get-go, so I don't know if you can see, so the Bondi Sands is definitely kind of more golden and more of like an olivey undertone. Loving Tan, I don't know if you can tell, is just a tiny bit richer and maybe a little bit darker, I would say. So this is Bondi Sands and this is Loving Tan. They look really similar. I mean, I don't think you would be able to tell. So as I said in the beginning, they're both ultra dark. So this side is the Bondi Sands. God, it's like, and then this side is the Loving Tan. So you can see the undertones are completely different. This is like a really deep, dark, rich brown, whereas this is definitely more of like an olive golden. And it kind of has that like green undertone that a lot of fake tans have. Yeah, I mean, you can see for yourself how different the undertone is. So I definitely think that comes out in the way it develops. So, but we shall see. And how it washes off as well. You know how with some fake tan, you wash it off and there's like nothing there. Okay, so I'm gonna go tan my face with just my regular tanning spray. I don't really want to do like half my face with one tan and half my face with the other, just in case. I mean, I'm sure it won't look different. But just in case you're wondering, I am using the, I think it's called So Sue by Suzanne Jackson, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it's the Dripping Gold Luxury Tanning Wonder Mist. So I just normally spray this on after I fake tan, and then it develops over time, and it's like watery, so it's super lightweight. But yeah, I just thought I'd use a different brand just so it's fair. So we're just comparing the body. So both of them you leave on for 6 hours. So I'll let it develop. Maybe I'll check in when it's kind of a little bit later, and then we shall see. So it's the next day now. So I have had this on well over 6 hours because I ended up just sleeping in it. So yeah, let's have a look. I mean, you can't really tell on camera right now, but I can definitely tell in person how this almost has like a tinge of green to it. You know how sometimes when you leave on some tans on too long and it leaves like a tinge of green, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because you're gonna wash it off. Whereas this one is, that's where Levi licked me. This one is just really, really deep and just a rich brown undertone. So yeah, that is what it's looking like before I take it off. Yeah, you can see like the tinge of green here, which is the Bondi Sand side, and then this is the Loving Tan side. But obviously I'm going to wash it off now and see which I prefer. When I first put it on, Josh actually preferred the Bondi Sand side because he said this side looked really red. Like it has like a reddy undertone, but he said it looked more like a natural tan. You know how, well, in the sun when I catch a suntan, I go like a warm brown, like a reddy brown. So that kind of looked more natural in a way, but then so did this because it just looked like a nice golden colour. But that was before it developed, so that's just something to note. But yeah, let's go wash it off and see what it looks like. Okay, so I've just showered and washed all of the fake tan off, and to be honest, you can't really tell. I mean, they don't look that different, but if you really look, that side is the Bondi Sands, and then this side is the Loving Tan. Yeah, my hands have gone so orange. I shouldn't have put so much on there, but oh well. They are definitely different in some ways in terms of like the application and the colour of the colour guard, and also the tone of them. I do find though that I thought this before, I hadn't used Bondi Sands for ages, and I do remember the last time that I used it, it does like wash off quite light in some areas. Like you can't really tell on camera. The top of my arm has definitely washed off quite a lot, if that makes sense. Like there's not too much on there, whereas this arm definitely looks more tanned. So I think the Loving Tan definitely holds more colour even when it is washed off. Whereas the Bondi Sands one is just a little bit more natural. It just gives you like a nice golden tint to the skin. But then saying that, they are both ultra dark. I mean, their version of ultra dark. So if you're someone who likes to be quite tanned and you go for the ultra dark, you're not going to be as tanned than if, say, you were going to use the Loving Tan ultra dark, if that makes sense. Because this one, the ultra dark Bondi Sands, is more like maybe like the medium in the Loving Tan, so that's just something to keep in mind. But I mean, it's really easy to get Bondi Sands because you can just pick it up in Boots if you're in the UK, that is. Whereas Loving Tan is not as easy to get hold of. Like a lot of my friends haven't really used it, or if they have, they've had to obviously pay for shipping, that kind of thing. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't dislike Bondi Sands. I would still use this if I didn't have this. But if I had to pick one, drum roll, then I would pick Loving Tan, just because you don't have to use as much of it. Whereas Bondi Sands, I feel like you would have to do a couple applications to get your desired ultra dark effect. Yeah, there's not a massive difference, but in just the way that the colour holds, I would say Loving Tan definitely holds better when you wash it off. And I've done 2 layers of Loving Tan as well as 2 layers of Bondi Sands. So I feel like even if I'd done 1 layer of Loving Tan, it still would have been quite tanned. Whereas the Bondi Sands is obviously not as tanned. If you can't get your hands on Loving Tan, then you could definitely go for Bondi Sands. It's definitely the most similar out of all the tans that I've used, but I would just say that the colour payoff isn't as good when you wash it off. So you probably would have to do a couple applications to get your desired effect if you do like to be quite tanned. But if you like a really nice golden colour and you don't like to be too dark, I would definitely say the Bondi Sands is a good shout. Even the ultra dark washes off a really nice golden colour. However, the Loving Tan is like super dark, the ultra dark now. But I just feel like you wash it off and you just get a bit more of a solid colour. Let me know if there's a side that you prefer. I mean, you might not even be able to tell the difference. If you've tried both of these, then let me know which ones you prefer, or if this video helps you decide which one to get. In terms of any marks that I got where it kind of like gathers, it completely washed off both sides. Kind of done that a little bit on my arms. But it completely washes off, so don't worry about that when you're applying fake tan and it's got a colour guard. It will kind of wash off. You just have to make sure that you cover all areas and it will be fine. And yeah, in terms of undertone, I don't know which one I prefer. I'm guessing, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards I love the Loving Tan for when I want a really deep, dark, golden tan. Whereas the Bondi Sands just gives me a really nice, like, natural golden glow. So perhaps the Bondi Sands one would be more of like a day one, if I didn't want it to be too obvious, and then Loving Tan for when I go out. Not that I can go out right now, but yeah, hopefully you get the gist. You can pretty much get Bondi Sands like everywhere in the UK, so like ASOS, Beauty Bay look fantastic, Boots, Superdrug, and the prices are kind of like different everywhere. So Bondi Sands, it says here it's £17.99. I think it's been like £20 before in like Boots, and you get 200 ml in here, so a good amount. And then Loving Tan, when I type it in, I think there is a UK stockist, is that what you would call it? Loving Tan Islington, I think. It says here it's a whopping £30, so that's quite expensive. I mean, maybe that's quite similar to Saint Tropez. Need to try that one. I've never tried that tan. Yeah, there's not as many places that you can get Loving Tan, it seems like. But £30, that's quite expensive. I didn't know. I'm wondering if it's because it's not stocked in many places. Because they're both like made in Australia, so I don't know. But you do get less in here, so 120 ml. So you do get less, but like I was saying earlier, you do have to use more of the Bondi Sands. So if I wanted to get like an actual ultra dark like tan, you kind of have to layer it more, so you're using more product, whereas this one you don't really have to layer, so you're using less product. So that's something to think about as well.